Okay, we're picking it up here with Lloyd and Winifred Roach, and that's Jimmy Roach, their youngest son. But then another example of Grandma and Grandpa Roach. And from here, we move to their oldest two.
You might explain Jimmy.
Oh, yeah.
Well, we're gonna get to him.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
But here are, on the left is Lois
Yep.
and Barbara,
Baby sister.
two sisters. So tell us a little bit about your family, Mom.
My sister was the most wonderful sister anybody could have. I was 5 years younger than she, and she treated me like I was her age. She took me everywhere. She never had a jealous bone in her body. She always looked out after me, and she was wonderful, and I miss her.
How old was she? How old were you guys in that picture?
I don't even know how old. I'd say about, see, she was 5 years older than me. Maybe 9 and 4, something like that.
No. Boys, no.
So Lois was, we're doing years here, aren't we?
Yeah, kind of.
Lois was born in 1926.
Yes, that's her high school graduation picture. And she graduated from Cathedral High School in 1944.
Cathedral High School, 1944.
Yeah.
And then, so that would have been, what, 5 years later they had you?
Yep.
So 1931, this is Barbara Roach, Nee Roach, Walsh, eventually Walsh.
Eventually Walsh.
And she graduated from St. Joseph's High School in 1949.
St. Joe's in 49.
These are all graduation pictures.
Wait, that was the year I was born.
She's,
I was born in 1949. She couldn't have graduated
That's
in
me.
49. Oh, I'm sorry. Wait a minute.
and then how many years after you was your younger brother born, Mom?
He was born in 1940, so
So this is Jimmy.
he was, that would make him 11 years.
So he died the next year, right? Wasn't he 12?
He was, well,
Yeah.
he died in 52.
He died in
He was
1952
born-
from polio.
He was born in 1940, and he died in 1952 of polio.
And do we have any pictures then of the bishops? We don't have any photos of
Yes, they're
them,
on
do
the bottom
On the
row
bottom,
there.
yeah.
we? No, I
But
mean,
Judy
the-
and
Oh,
Jim.
not Judy and Jim's mom.
I mean their
No,
parents.
no.
No, not them.
Judy
So at
was-
some point, what year was that then? 52 was it when Jim and
It was 50
Judy's
53.
53 when Jim and Judy's
And they died.
parents died in a boating accident, right?
You're still
And-
showing Jimmy.
I'm still showing Jimmy. But if we move over here and we look at Judy and Jim were niece and nephew to Winifred and Lloyd. And their parents were killed in a boating accident. And so Lloyd and Winifred adopted them and raised them from the age of like 6 and 8, weren't
They
they?
didn't, oh yeah, they didn't really adopt him.
Well,
Well,
raised
they
raised
took
them
them
from
in.
6 to 8.
Took him in,
They
yeah.
raised, yeah, they took him in. They
Okay.
didn't adopt him.
So this is Judy,
Judy versus Score.
Bishop Verscore. And we'll get to their kids in a minute. And then we've got
We'll get to the boating accident.
Jim Bishop. His name stayed Bishop even after he married. Still appreciate that if he ever gets to look at this. So tell us about the boat.
Okay. The boating accident was really sad. They were in Tucumcari, New Mexico. They lived in Albuquerque at the time. And they were at a reservoir in Tucumcari, New Mexico with another couple. And the boat got hung up on a sandbar or something happened. And it started to tilt and the kids fell in the water. They had life jackets on. And Irene and Jim, who were good swimmers, they thought, jumped in the water to save them. And there was an undertow and it pulled them under. And the doctors said they probably would have died of their injuries if they hadn't drowned. The kids in the meantime just floated into shore,
How old were they at
Really?
the time?
6 and 8.
6 and 8
No,
years
how
old.
old were
Irene and Jim?
Irene and Jim?
Let's see, they were, what's that say on the tombstone? I think they were about 40-ish.
Yeah, I would guess that.
Yeah.
So before we leave that generation, here's one more good photo of Lois and Jim. And this is Lois and Barb and Jimmy, right?
Yep.
So Lois and Barb. and Jimmy.
Definitely a resemblance of all of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hold it up
Well,
right. Hold it up right
The
for me.
main
Mom.
thing about this picture is Lois is wearing long socks. And she resented that always because even when she went to school, she'd get all ready to go to school. And she'd go in and talk to Daddy, and he'd say, "Go put your long socks on."
Why?
Well, it was cold then. They thought she'd get to school and roll them down. It used to be brown, kind of like a corduroy finish
yeah.
on him.
Hmm.
By the time I came along, he didn't fight it anymore.
That's
And
the
Jimmy
joy of
was my
being
sweet, sweet little brother.
the joy of being the last kid. Parents don't care as much at that point.
I wasn't the last one.
Jimmy was.
Jimmy was.
No, it's
So
true.
cute.
Anyway, there we are as tiny little helpless babies.
Little tots.
Great. So we don't have many more pictures of Jimmy, unfortunately. That's
Well, did you do this one?
we didn't. Yeah, we did that one
Okay.
already.
All right.
So moving on to the next generation, let's go back to Lois. And she married in what year?
1948.
1948.
1948. Married Jim Metz. And that was at
St.
Dominic.
Dominic's.
St. Dominic's Cathedral, or church, excuse me. And they went on to have an obnoxious number of kids,
Those are right below the same.
who are right below. So we'll move on down and look at the Metz family. So there's Jim and Marilyn. Oh, get a little Marilyn with the
Look at
hair.
that hairdo.
It's a big hair.
I'm not even in that.
And there's Mike
You are.
and Cindy, Donnie, Rick in the upper right.
Come on.
Little baby Linda here at the bottom. And Lois. So that was the Metz. That's the whole Metz clan. God rest Cindy, not with us anymore. And then Lloyd and Winifred's second child, Barb, married Bob Walsh. Again at St.
Dominic.
No.
Dominic's Church. That was 1953, February, yeah.
Yes.
And they went on to have, without a doubt, the finest children on this wall.
Excuse me.
At least one of them.
Excuse me.
Here's the Walsh family. Barb and Bob, Mark on the left, Terry on the table, and baby David, the bright light of the entire family. And then of the extended family, Judy married Bernie Verskoor on, anybody know when they got married?
No clue.
No,
You remember?
don't know the date.
Early 60s
Judy would
probably.
know.
Probably.
And they had 2 children as well, both of which children have their own children now. But there we have Minette, Bernie, Judy, and Peter. And then the last of the extended family, Jim Bishop, married Betsy
Betsy Bass.
Bass?
See these?
Betsy Bass, and they also had 2 children. And only one of them made the original portrait. That's Michelle. But her little brother got taped into the corner over here. And that's James Lloyd. So that's as far as we got on this wall with this photograph. But the people on this wall have created 2, 3, even more generations already now.
Yeah, at least.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 now.
7.
7 generations.
That's a lot of generations, and we only caught the first 4 up there.
Yep.
That's amazing.
Okay.
Who else do we have?
Back here we have Mark and Terry.
That's Mark and Terry.
Mark Walsh, Terry Walsh.
How old are they there, Barb? Do you think?
Mark was probably about 3, and Terry was about 1, or less than 1.
Still no David in the picture yet.
No,
No.
I showed up
Maybe
quite
David.
late.
Baby David comes along eventually.
Yeah, I was rather the surprise.
Where do you have a picture of David?
So
We don't keep no
Cindy, Mike,
pictures of
Donnie,
me.
and Linda.
You don't need a picture of me. I'm right here. Hi.
Oh, I got a great
Hi,
picture
how are
of my
you?
bedroom wall with you kids.
Oh,
What
Right.
else do we want to
We've
discuss
got-
here?
You wanna put these yet? Or do you wanna wait till we
We
do?
could
Well, let's
wait till
go
we do
out.
those.
Why don't we stop here and go out and look at everything that's on